Chuma, you see what I'm using to record?
Yeah, I didn't see it.
OBS. It's
Okay,
uh, it's for Linux. I mean, there's both Linux and other operating
operating
systems.
system.
Yeah.
This is okay.
All right. So let's get moving today. So a recap of what we did the last time was to
The
Thomas. You wanted to say something? Okay. So last,
guys, I cannot hear you correctly.
is anyone having the same issue?
No,
I'm
Okay.
hearing you very well.
Okay.
I guess it's from Thomas' side. I think he
Okay.
complained initially that his network is
His
bad.
network is bad. Okay. It's okay. Let's mute Chinedu. We are getting some
From my
feedback here.
end, okay.
Yes. But when I need your response, please remember to mute so that I will not feel I'm alone. So I think Thomas is
Okay.
having issues. Yeah. All right. So um, the last time I think what we did was to add some mock so that the mock would return something, and we added fixtures. Yeah. Okay. And we used it to confirm that when we put um, when we ask this to return this, it returns it, and we're able to test a few things around that. So I will start by allowing us to maybe, if anyone has a question before we dive in, the person can bring it up. Any questions so far from the last class?
Okay. I just want to ask, writing a test file, does it depend on what you want to return or how complicated an app is? Like this app we are working on now, this iFarm, is not as sophisticated as the one we are using. So does it
Uh-huh.
also affect the test file, or it just depends on what you are testing basically?
I think you confused me a bit. You said, does it depend on the test file or does it depend on what you're testing? Can you
No, no,
clarify?
not the test file. Does it depend on how sophisticated the app is or what you are testing? That would determine the kind of test file you will have. That's what I'm asking.
One, I want to separate some of the things you said. Test file is this file drug.controller.spec.txt is
Yes,
test file.
yes.
Okay. There is a difference between the test file and the test specs. The things you are testing are called the specs. Specs. Like when you have your system, when you want to test, you test the specs. The specs of the system, like specifications of your system. You want to, okay, the person who sold the system to you told you that this is a touch screen system. So that is a spec, you should test it. So the same thing when you come to test specs, you are saying some of the features of what you have built in your system which you want to verify. Because in layman's language, all you are doing is to verify the behavior of what you have built. You have said that drug controller.find drugs inside of the app, and within your thinking, your mind, you are expecting that this thing should return drugs. You are expecting that the drugs it should return should come as an array. There are several things you are expecting. Those things you are expecting are the things you will test. And coming to the issue of whether it depends on how complex the app is or whatever, that is the yes, definitely, because what you are testing depends on how much of features or complexity do you have within these features. Now, if somebody gives you a drumming stick, for example, somebody gives you a drumming stick and you want to test it. We lost Chinedu before.
No, I think
Yes.
it's Thomas. Okay, we also lost
Mm,
Thomas.
Yes, he said that he's going to log back on Chrome.
yes.
Okay, so if somebody gives you a drumming stick, for those who drum, and you want to test it, do you think it will take you the same time to test if somebody has given you a keyboard or a bass guitar or I'm using the music terms now. If somebody has handed over to you keyboard and you want to test the keyboard that is okay the way you want it, do you think it will take you the same time to test that keyboard and use it for testing?
No, no, I
If
don't think.
somebody, okay, is it
I
coming from
don't
your
think
end?
so.
Okay,
No,
all
I
right,
just unmuted now because I wanted to answer the question. I said
okay,
no, it's not going to be because the
yes,
drumstick is just two. Once you just hit it on the drum, you know whether it's working.
you
But the
know whether
keyboard
it's
has
working.
several, yes,
Uh-huh.
has several keys, so you have to touch each of them to make
You
sure
may
they're
not
all
even need
working.
to hit the drumstick on the drum to know whether it's working because you can look at it and say, no, 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 this is not. You already, those who drum, they can look at the drumstick and say, no, one, this is, I'm not looking for a plastic, synthetic drumstick. I'm looking for the wooden one. Or the person can bring the wooden one. You say, no, 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 this one I can see. This one is hard, whatever. No, no, the tip is not what I'm looking for. This tip is this one. You can even look at it and say that this is not what I'm looking for. Mm. But even if they put the keyboard make on it and you can verify that this is the make you are looking for. Let's say, for example, Yamaha has PSR, different grades, and the different types of keyboard they have, and you already know that this is the one you are looking for, and this is the best keyboard on earth. Good. Are you going to carry it and just say, oh, that is good? Take your money. You just go like that? No.
No, no.
You definitely want to put it on, test it because the complexity is different from that of the stick. The reason being that you can have a brand new keyboard that when you plug it doesn't bring up the power. Maybe something got burnt, or you put it on and you play the keyboard and you discover that the sound is distorted. Maybe something is wrong with the speakers. Or the ones that we have experienced, you put it on and you play it for like 2 minutes or three, and the key resets. Maybe you are playing key C and suddenly it goes to key F. So these are things you want to verify. You want to verify the different sounds it has. You want to verify whether it can use maybe it has battery slots and you want to use that battery. You want to check a lot of things. You want to check if how it synthesizes sound and all. So you look at it and you see that the time it will take you to test this particular keyboard, you may tell the person that okay, I will take my time to check this thing over weekend and I will get back to you depending on whatever you want to have. So these are things you want to look at. Whatever you are testing is meant to be the feature of the app you have. So the more features, the more things you have to test, and the more the edge cases, because these edge cases are the things that you may not notice, but when something happens, it begins to break. I'll give you an example again in the music industry. When you buy a loudspeaker, and when they want to test it in the market, like if I use our market here as an example, when they want to test it for you, what they do is that they will put the music and they turn it a bit low. You'll be hearing it, everything is sounding neat. But if you want to test it, tell the person to increase it very well. You'll be hearing, yeah, 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 everything just, the the sound will begin to scatter. It will not sound good again. Uh-huh. Where you hear a guitar that used to sound maybe doom, it will be sounding zoom, as in everything will scatter. You don't. So, but these are edge cases. If you didn't test it and you take it home and you take it for a program, maybe you say, we're going to do a concert or what, and you begin to increase your jitter, I mean your sound, you discover you may have a distorted sound. These are edge cases. I'm using things I know that we can reckon with. Far back then when we were in NYC, we bought this amplifier, Behringer, and we didn't know that this thing has a cutoff. So when you are playing and everybody is busy and the sound gets so high, it will just cut it off. It will turn off. It will turn off the thing. Ah, so all you are playing will just stop. Only the drum. Then you wait for it to now come back. It will now pick again. It was a hell. So these things, if you didn't test it, you on your own. So what am I saying? That testing is not something written on stone. It's about a matter of you who wants to build an application, knowing what you have built, and the thinking about extreme levels of fault you can encounter in what you have built. If you didn't cover all these things and it sneaks into the production, that means you are going to have a problem. And that's why you have different types of testing. What you are doing now is just unit testing. Unit testing is just the smallest testing you can do, which is not even meaningful. Uh-huh. So the unit testing is like when you buy um, a keyboard, you are testing that the volume knob is working. The volume knob can be working, and yet when you do something else on it, the volume knob may have problem. But because you are doing it unit by unit, you are testing only one thing, it may be fine. But you may discover that maybe you didn't test with the microphone. You put the microphone, because some of them comes where you can plug a microphone. You put the microphone and you discover that you are increasing the volume knob and it is not working, or it is going down, or something else happens. And that is what we call integration test. When you are testing something in the context of where it should work. Uh-huh. So if I give an example, what we are doing here, I want to explain this thing so much so that you don't have to be thinking about testing as one big thing. You are just testing something. I mean, you are testing your app. Uh-huh. The more you know your app, the better you can test. So all we are doing here now is to check that if we call this drug, sorry, if we call drug controller dot find drugs, we just want to be sure that that thing is working, is returning in the controller what it should return. That is good. Uh-huh. Now, if we go down a bit and we say, okay, um, in this place, end to end, we are going to this end to end. I can call it end to end anyway, but okay. You may discover that after you have tested this controller, it's returning. But when you come to this place, you are calling the endpoints that has to do with. We have not done that here. That is what part of what we are going to do today. You are calling the endpoints to return something. I discovered it's not working. But when you tested the controller alone, it was working. So you'll be wondering what happened. I don't know if you get that. So that is
Yes,
it.
I do.
You
I
can
get it.
do, yeah, you can do unit testing. You can do integration testing. You have end-to-end testing, and even in that end-to-end testing, there are different types of end-to-end testing. You can just do a very simple one. You can do a full end-to-end testing where you don't mock anything. You don't mock. So these are things we want to see. That is it. All right. Um, are we good to go for today?
Yes,
Yes.
for me, yes.
Yes, we can start.
Yes.
Okay. I had the bell somebody's at the door, but if it rings again, I may have to excuse myself and check who is the. I'm the only one at home with the keys. My wife went out. All right, so this is where we are. And the last time, I remember I told us when you go back, you should look at a few things. Who can remind us what I said we should look at?
Talk about mock return value once.
Okay, okay, that is it. Okay, just give me a minute, please. I think the bell is still ringing. A minute.
Um, are you guys still there? Oh, is it my network again? Jesus.
Yes, we are still on the call.
I
Thomas,
still here,
Is
Thomas.
is
maybe
that a
not
network?
just maybe not excuse himself. He want to check something and come back.
Okay.
I check.
Welcome back.
Can you guys hear me again? Okay, all right.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes, I'll come back.
That is what you have when you are a father. All right. So I said we should check about mock return value once. Okay, so when when we do something like, let me check if we have it here. Um, okay, we have this. When we try to do, uh, when you type once, you will see you have mock return value once. So what do we do with this? I believe you guys looked at it. What did you find about this?
Yes.
What did you guys find about this? I'm asking everybody.
Okay, the mock return value ones. I think it returns. How do I put it? It returns the value that you put to it, just that value. But if you call the mock function again, it returns the value that is in the mock return value. But like the name imply once, it just return that value to you. But if you call the function again, it will return the value that is in the mock return value, not the once value. So I think it's like a one-time thing or something.
Okay, that's good. Any other person? Any other person wants to talk? Let's be,
The value we put inside,
I mean,
yes, it
interactive.
returns whatever value we put inside the more
Oh,
return
we
value
didn't check.
once, regardless of what was in the initial mock.
Thomas. Uh, Thomas is like your network is
Yes.
really having issue. Okay, can you say what you were saying again? Can you say it?
Okay, should I say it again?
Yes.
Okay. I was saying that my answer is not that much different from what she said, but I was trying to say that the mock return value once returns whatever value we put inside it once, regardless of what was in the original mock.
Okay. All right. So now let me explain. You guys got it anyway. The question now is, where do we use it? And I mean, when do we use it? When is it necessary that we use mock return value once? So let's take example where you want to mock these results differently. You have two different tests here. This one calls find drug, and you want it to return drugs, because the return value here is drugs. Is that not the case?
Yeah, that's the
Yes,
case.
it is. That's it.
Let's say, okay, when we come here, we want it to return a different thing. Mhm. So what it means is that the first time you call this, or anytime you call this particular um, function, I mean the controller that find drugs, is going to return drugs. But in this particular test, it's not going to return just drugs, it's going to return drugs that are filtered. There are cases where our mock implementation wants to return different things for different calls. Uh-huh. Let me give you an example. There are times in your test, you may call the same function twice for some reasons. I mean, not in your test, in your code. You may call the same function twice for some reasons. Uh-huh. Then let me give you one example now. You want to find a particular drug, and you want to modify it. And when you modify it, along the line, you want to return that same drug. One of the things that people do is that they will first of all, before they want to modify, they first of all find this drug. Maybe they want to verify something before they modify it. And when they do they find the drug, check what they want to check, or do what they want to do with the drug. Or maybe they want to use that drug, get the drug, get some parameters from the drug, use it to find something else in another collection, in another, let me use table, maybe the one that will be more meaningful to you, those coming from SQL. You want to use the drug, take something from the drug. Maybe they sent this drug ID to you, but before you delete, you do this thing, you want to use the drug and get the drug owner or company. Then you want to query, find the company, then use the company you find to go and look for, do something else. And after the whole thing, you want to find, do a find for another drug. Let me say another, a different drug now. Now you see that you are going to call find twice or three times in the same function. It's possible, depending on what you are trying to achieve. Now, when you are going to run this test, you know that for each of these calls, you don't, for you are not expecting the same return value. When you call the find at the beginning, you wanted it to return a particular drug which you will use to find a company, but when you now want to do the find the second time, you want it to return a different drug. Now, you can use mock return value once to specify what should be returned in each of the calls. So even if it's 5 calls, all you need to do is to specify that this is what should be returned at this call. So let me give an example. What we have here now, we can just use mock return once to, to do that. Though this is not the best example for what, best use case for what we are saying. So let me say, excuse me, um, instead of this, let's say we do function dot mock return value once, and we say drugs, and you can do another one. Let me take it a bit. Dot mock return value. It's return value I'm using. So
So that's E before. Okay, you have removed it.
yes, mock return value. So in this case now, this is what we want to return. Drug.filter.
I think we'll have to more return value once.
Yes, that's what I'm saying, that you can call it 2 times. You can call it as many times as
Okay.
you want. So
Okay.
what you're saying is that, like the example I gave, that in the function, you may call the same function several times, like in your code you are trying to test. So as many times you call the function, let's say you call this find, you want to specify what it should return for each of the calls. Uh-huh. So if we have done this way, let's comment this out and see if our test still runs. So we're going to do one test. So it still passes. Why? If we check results here, let's log results. Um, Let me put it this results here. Okay, don't let me. I don't need it to be an object because so and we log result here. Let's see what it shows us. So this the first result we logged. Can you see my screen?
Yes, it's showing all the drugs we have.
So the first result we logged. What is this? What did it return?
It's turned out all the different drugs,
Drugs. Okay. But this one it returned only the
only the
Only
painkiller,
the drug we filtered.
particular drug is
yes
filtered.
because
So
yes the
that's the
filtered one.
filtered one.
So that is why we say mock return value once is this. Mock return value second is this. So let me show you something. Let me show you something because you need to be careful whenever you are doing this. Of course, one of the things I tell people is that testing is a funny thing. It's a very funny thing. Uh-huh. If you understand how testing works, you are in control, particularly when you are marking. You are in control of what you have. Sometimes I will advise you, you can log what you are even returning to see what is going on. So it will help you to know what you are doing. The target is not to just get your test passing. The target is to test it properly. But at least you should know what is happening. So let's do something. I will say constant first results equals await drug controller dot find drugs. Only this thing I put here, eh, it will make this test to fail. All of them will fail. Do you know why? Who can tell me why it will fail? Let's run it first and then let's see if it's passing or not. Maybe I don't know what I'm saying. You see, all of them fails. The only thing that passed is the hello world. The only test that passed is hello world. If you check it well. So why is it failing? You remove hello world, you see that everything is failing. Are you guys there? Or you're putting on your TDD?
Yes,
We are,
we are
we
here.
are
Yes, we
here.
are.
We are trying to find answers to the question.
The answer is very simple. You should be able to figure this out. It's very simple. I think I need to be seeing your faces to be sure that you're actually thinking.
Say what you are doing.
So
What
what
that,
are you thinking? You guys don't look like people thinking. You are smiling. If you are thinking, you are thinking like that senior developer that said he was a senior developer. They gave him job. By this time, you would have been sweating.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, we can
Okay,
hear you.
I was saying something. It's because of the deep equality, but I can't see the terminal. Go off. Let me.
You don't need to see the terminal. You don't even need to because me, I know it will fail.
Okay.
I didn't see the terminal to know it will fail.
Okay. Okay.
can I say again what you the input you made? I
It's
said
a
that
change I
is
made.
yes.
This is the only change I made. Line 37. I just called. In
Okay,
fact,
deep
let me even
deep
remove
equality.
let me remove constant. This just calling drug dot find we spoil this thing. Just calling drug controller dot find drug. That is the problem. So if I save this thing and run it again, it will fail. So because I called something and it failed, sorry, am I making? Uh-huh. Because I did this and it failed. Well, what do you think should be the problem? Just by calling drug, every other thing started fail. Okay, let's not waste too much time. If we are using the old way, where we are using this return and we are using the other mock implementation, it will not fail. Even if I call this thing 100 times, it will not fail. The results will be the same because we are returning it anytime it is called, it returns that. Now,
Because of the mock return ones.
yes, it's the mock return once because we have said if we call you the first time you hear your name, this is like, I mean, when I look at programming language, it looks like talking to a human being because, or talking to a zombie. Let me use it. Um, whatever you give as a command is what is going to be obeyed. There's no, they will obey, I mean, the computer will obey it to the core, to the letter. That is the most obedient thing you can see is the computer because they are not human beings. Something is controlling them. Now, this is like telling this guy, the find, uh, let's say it's a guy, that, Oga, when they call you the first time, give them these drugs. When you hear your name the second time, give them the fatal drugs. And he said, yes, sir. Okay. Do you see what happens here? But the person
Yeah.
who
Yeah.
gave instructions said, okay, let me do a mic test, mic check. He just did a call to say, I want to know if this is what he said. He called. But he didn't know that immediately he did this call in line 37. Mr. Find picked it and responded with drugs. Eh? That is the first call it is received. Let's say it's a human being.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
received the first call here. It returned the drugs. Now, this one now is
Yeah.
the second call. It's going to return the fatal drug. But the fatal drug is not what we are looking for. Do you see what happens now? Because you have
Yes.
given the instruction. First call, return drugs. Second call, return fatal drugs. Then you are wasting a call. The thing had it and said, "Oh, my name is called, and I'm going to return drugs." He returned drugs, but you didn't use the drug for anything. You didn't even save it. You just called it and he sent you drugs, but you didn't use it. Then you now said, "Okay, I want to now get drugs. I'm ready now to use the drug." When you call it, it's not going to give you the drugs again. It's going to give you the filtered drug because that is the instruction. When
Yes.
it
Yes.
gives it to you, and when you go to the log, you see that the first log, you even be surprised that the last one is unknown. The first log is returning filtered drug. Look at it. That is why it's showing this. Uh, it's showing paracetamol, which is a painkiller, number 5. And that is why I wanted to see why it's not showing the what do you call it, category. The category is in one of these. Okay, I think that is by the way, but it's what it's telling you is that it received an object, but out of this object, the only thing that matched the expectation is this. Do you understand? This is the only thing that matched the expectation. But
Yeah.
but it saw, but you were expecting to have more of this. That is the expectation you are having, which is you are expected. You are expecting to have all the drugs, but it only returned only one drug, which is the fatal one. That is paracetamol. call here is um,
Painkiller.
paracetamol, painkiller. Now you can confirm that if we go up, and check, this is the first console. It returned only the painkiller. This is the first place we console log the result. It's returning painkiller. It's not returning all the drugs because you are calling it the second time. Now, when next you now call this guy, the controller, it will be confused because it's more like a dummy. When you call it again, you say, the instruction I was given is only two. The first time I my name is called, I should give this. The second time my name is called, I should give this one. Everything I have has finished. It will not return anything to you. So the result will be what? Undefined. Nothing was returned. So when you call it this second time, it didn't do anything. That is why it returned when you console log the result. This is the result with console log. If you want to be sure that this is the result, we can do something like this. Result 2. To console
So even when it fails, you can see when and you console log, you can still see what it is, what actually happened there.
a console log is just to show you what is coming last. This is result 2 is undefined. Result 2 should be the result, but it's undefined. Console log is just to print something for you. It depends on what you are printing. So you want to print the result to be sure that, because inside of your mind you're saying that the result should be equal to some a filtered drug that contains painkiller. Is it not? But when you now print out, excuse me, the results, you are seeing that the result is actually an undefined, meaning
Undefined, yeah.
the guy could not understand what you are saying he should do. He just told you no definition for drug here. This one you are calling me, I don't have any, I don't understand you. That is how it is. Because the instruction you gave says, um, Mr. Find, they are going to call you 2 times. When they call you the first time, give them all the drugs. He said, okay. He kept all the drugs one side. When they call you the second one, give them this drug that is only painkiller. And the guy said yes and was smiling and was ready to do work. But mistakenly, somebody fired a shot here the first time by calling the guy. And when this thing was called, this Mr. Find over there we saw was ready to perform action. He received the first call, he returned drugs and was happy to have done what he was told to do. The second time, which is in this line 38, it was still called again, find drugs. He delivered the one that is filled up, which is paracetamol, and immediately he delivered it. What do you think, if he's a human being, what do you think he will say? What do you think
My job,
when he
my job is
received
done.
the second one, which is the last one? What do you think the guy
My
will say?
job is done.
My job is done. He will just take it last and say, I'm happy. Job finished.
He has
But you,
delivered everything.
but you are saying, hey, this is not
We are
what I
still
expected.
expecting the. Mm, mm.
The first, in fact, the second, in this point, you're even expecting something different. But he gave you the one that is filtered because that's the second call. But you are thinking it will give you the original drugs, all the drugs. So after all, he has delivered everything. You then come back here again and say, Mr. Find. And he will say, who is calling me? That's what he's going to do. He's going to say, who is calling me? And when you look, he said, okay, this call is unexpected. I don't have anything for you. Then he will return nothing. And when you begin to check for what is returned, it is nothing, undefined. Undefined. Does that make sense at all to us? Does it make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
So when we remove this
No,
call here,
when I was also
Almost as
going
if.
through it, when I was going through it, though I didn't go through it extensively due to a couple of church programs we just ended yesterday. So when I looked at it, they made mention of chaining the attribute, the promise to another call. So but I haven't looked at it extensively.
Okay. So you can add as many as you want, as many as you want in this mock return value ones. Thomas, did you say anything? Did you say you didn't understand?
No, I didn't say anything.
Okay. Uh, Now, when we remove that call, everything is working fine. Now, why I showed you that is that when you are using it, don't just go and be wasting the calls. It's not going to be just wasted. The guy is going to pick it up. So let's put it this way. Now, one of the things that this will help us to do, one of the things it will help us to also verify is to be sure that this thing is called only two times by what we are doing. We want to be sure that the number of calls it's receiving is the number of calls you're expecting it to receive. I don't know whether that makes sense. There are sometimes, Thomas, okay, there are sometimes you will discover that, particularly, let me give you an example, is in when you are doing front end work, like React, for example, you will discover that you may expect something to be called once, and React, due to the way it is configured, might call it two times or three times, where it is doing all the rendering and the re-rendering and whatever. And you'll be wondering, why is this not happening like this? Now, if you're expecting a call to be once, and you want to use this method to also be sure that it's calling that particular function, the number of times you expect, that is good. If you are expecting this to work this way and it's not working, it's throwing error showing that maybe this is getting called more than you expect, or maybe it's not calling it up to two times, then you know that something is wrong. That is another thing this can be used for. All right. Okay, so let's go here again. Now, my question to you guys will be, having looked at our get draws controller, this is the find draws controller. What again do you think we can test in this place?
I don't understand the question. You mean okay, get in terms of the API
This is
calls
what
or
this is what we are testing. This is the function we are testing because this is a unit
okay,
test.
okay.
So what again can we try to verify as far as this function is concerned?
As far as the find drugs is concerned,
Yes, yes. You know, this doesn't have anything to do with the unit test because this comes in when you are doing calling the API. But the unit test is just going to test this function.
yeah. Mm, can, what else can we test?
Okay, what of other options that are in a CRUD API, like create, read, update, and delete? Does it work? After I think find drug is like getting a drug.
Find drugs is getting drugs based on the filter
Hello?
query. Hello? I said
Hello?
find
Okay.
drugs is to get drugs based on the filter query. For now, this is the one we are testing. So we are going to go to these ones and also do them Now we want to do
Okay.
everything possible here first because we are doing this is unit test, like I said. When you are doing unit test, you focus on a particular function, and you test that function very well to be sure that all the things you expect it to do is doing it. Mhm. So one of the things we can test here, which you will see in most of our work, is that we normally test that it is calling a particular function or is calling the required function with the appropriate queries or parameters. For example, find drugs. When you call it, what does it call in return? What does it call in return?
Sir? Is it what is returning the drug service? This is the drug
Yes. So what
service.
does it? What? So now, when you call this guy, it calls another function. What function does it call?
It calls
That's the
drug
filter.
service.
Okay.
It calls the drug service.
It calls the drug service, and then the drug service takes filter,
The
or
drug service
depending on
is a the drug service is a class.
a
What
class.
function does it call in the drug service?
Okay, they find all. I think it's the
Find
find all.
Find or
find
Find
all.
all.
dot find or.
Yes. Uh-huh. Then this find all calls the drug repository dot find. So we can decide to verify that it calls find all. We can also decide to verify that it calls drug repository
Position.
dot find. And when we are verify that it calls, we want to verify that it calls them with the appropriate um,
Parameters.
parameters. Yes. So this one is one and a half parameters. Uh-huh. So we can add another it here and say it. What are we going to say here? It calls drug service dot find all. So there is going to be something here calls drug service dot find all with the appropriate. That is what it's going to check, and we have our function. Okay. So we can now send expect. Now let's try to just expect that draw service dot find all is called. Let's even try to do that. Drug service. Um, excuse me. I'm going to provide. I wanted to skip that. Um, the simplest way to do this is to do a mock Okay, let me skip that because if I try to mock drug service, it will override the find we are mocking already. And the reason why I prefer to mock this find is that that is the root one that actually gets to return this. So actually, we could have decided to mock only this guy. We can decide to mock this, which we can try and do again. It will give us the same result. Like I said to you, test is a matter of you mastering what you want to do. I can do that, but let me not do that yet. Let me just undo this call. Let's expect that mock repository dot find to have been called with. I want it to be called with. The parameter is what? This is the parameter. It's okay. So if you want, I can make this to be const param equals this. So let me, instead of repeating it here, I can just put param. uh So instead of this is the same thing that was there. I just put it in a constant. So we want to be sure that it was called with that same parameter actually. Oh, sorry. This thing was inside the it, so it will not find it. So I take it out so that it can be within the scope where the both tests can use it. Alright. So let's run this test. If it fails, we don't know why. It still passes. And it is verifying that drug, okay, it's not going to be drug that find all. Let me say drug repository. That's what it should be. Drug repository dot find. That's one we are checking that it calls. So it calls drug repository because when you want to verify it's calling it, you want to be sure that you are using the mock to check that it is calling this thing with the appropriate value. So what if instead of putting this parameter, I just put my own and say it calls it with let's say name, some name. It will fail and they tell you that it was expecting to be called with something else, but yes. Do you see? It's telling you that this place failed, that it was expecting to see this, but it saw this because you said you want to confirm that it was called with this. But when it got there, it's not what you said that it saw. You saw it different. It was actually called with this category painkiller. So that's to show you that it's working. The reason why sometimes I do that is that you want to be sure that this thing is passing because of actual. I mean, because it is working, not some problem somewhere. All right, I think this is getting more interesting. Okay, any questions so far? Any questions so far?
Okay, please, oh, I don't know. The question might sound, I don't know, but the find that we are trying to test now, and then we are passing what is it called, the filtered parameter into it. I thought we are trying to test if it finds all the drugs, but the parameter we are passing is like the filtered parameter, or am I getting it wrong?
Ask the questions slowly again. Ask this
Okay.
is yeah.
Okay, in the code, we're trying to test that it finds all the drugs, but we are passing the parameter we are passing is
Okay,
the parameter we
let
are
me take
passing
this
is a
one more.
filtered
One
parameter.
more. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so take this once more. In the code, we are trying to test that it defines the drugs. Okay, so which of the part of the code are you talking about that is testing that defines the drug? Is it this one
Uh,
or
yes, where we substituted that para. Yeah.
okay?
The second one that we tested, yes, we are putting in what is it called, a filtered parameter there in the find. So I was thinking this find test should be to find all the drugs, but the parameter we are passing is a filtered parameter.
It's a filter
Parameter
parameter.
like category, yes, category. I think that's what we are.
What is the difference between this test and the one we are doing here? What is the difference? This one.
We are saying that it calls the second one we are trying to test. Say it calls drug repository dot find with the appropriate parameter. Okay.
I didn't say this. I didn't say this. I say what is the difference between 43 to 53 and the 35 to 42? What is the difference between this describe and this describe? Can you
Okay, from
explain what is
35 to 42 years, we are trying to find drugs with no parameter at all. So it will return all
Okay,
the
one.
drugs.
Okay.
But the second one is finding drugs with a particular parameter. So we are like filtering the drugs by some
okay?
parameters. But this one that you added under it now, that's what I'm trying to understand very well. I understand the first two tests, but I'm trying to understand this last one very well.
Okay, so what is the question now? Because I want to be sure that you know what to say.
Okay, it says it calls drug repository dot find with the appropriate parameter. Okay, this one too is taking parameter. We are not we are not testing all the drugs here too.
Yes. So
Okay.
this place, this is a describe function. Every test inside it will be based on what the describe is doing.
Okay,
But
with filtered parameter. Okay.
this describe is doing with filter parameters, filter parameters. So whatever you are doing should be testing that it is working with the parameter. Mhm. So if I want to test this same thing here and I put it here and maybe I define this parameter too, it's going to fail because it was not called with any parameter.
Yes.
So it fails because it didn't get any parameter. That is line 44. And that is it. Line 44 is going to fail. Now, if I want to test that this it is calling fine with no parameter, I can just say we have been called with which okay
That's
since
empty.
Okay.
since because that's what I'm saying that let me find it has been called it has been called um, I can just say it has been called so if you say it has been called it will pass but if it says it has been called with a parameter it's not going to pass because
Okay.
there's no parameter.
No parameter.
Now, now I can do this. So I wanted to see if there's any way to even check code without dot without. Okay. see. I want to see if there's any way you want to actually check if it was called. Okay, let me do something. You know, one other thing I would like us to do is when you are looking for a solution online, what do you actually look for? So let's say I want to check if there is a way to verify that this function was called with no parameter. And I want to search it online because knowing how to find solution online is very important. Like some of the things you were saying before now, NK, about the equal and the dates are failing and that. I expected you to Google online how to do that or console log the result and see, okay, how can I get this result to look like this? So now let me try to say, okay, what are we looking for here? How to check if something was called without a parameter, is it not? So I can say
Yes. Yeah.
chest
Yeah, it is.
assert function is called with no arguments. Okay, let me use them. So this is what it says, assert zero arguments. How can I get the arguments called? Using how to check arguments passed. Okay, this one is just okay. Let me. All these ones I didn't see anything that looks like the one I'm looking for. So, but this one looks like it to have been called checks that the function was called at all. I have a test that specifically tests a function was called with no argument. Okay. So let me know whether there's any suggestion for this guy. So this is why he uses. You see that people are having the same challenge you are having, and the person has said it. So let's see solution here.
Yeah.
Okay, title the measure is a refined spy measure. Is passed is the undefined argument. Okay, I'm not clear. Okay, just out of curiosity, why don't you use to have been called? To have been called checks that the function was called at all. I have a test that's okay. Good. The real world use case. This function acts on a list and either takes an ID and acts on a single item, or is called without an ID and acts on the whole list. Okay, this issue has been closed. So they didn't answer his question. They just told him to use to have been called. Mhm. Okay. Okay. So did we get the answer here? I want us to interact here, please, because it's not
No.
it's not about
No.
having used the result how to do it. Some of them I meet a lot of things I don't know every day, every time. But knowing how to find the solution is very important. So does this answer our question? The answer is no. We have not known the actual way to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's go back and look at the one that says how do I check the arguments passed in a mock? Okay. So let's check this one. So how do I check the arguments passed in a mock function? I'm trying to use just this is the code I test. Right now, to have been called times and to have been called with works, but I will also check the argument passed to dot send. Okay, let me see. If they have a way of getting these arguments, eh, we may do something. What we may do is that we may say, we might check the call and check the arguments and verify that it is not as it is undefined or something like that. Must send name to a name without preface mark. Okay, so I'm coming. You can spy on the send function in your mock. Then verify that it has been called with. It has been called when you run data. Okay, this is almost the same thing here. Oh, it was this.
We are looking forward to having called without. Am I right?
Let me see something here. Here is document about mock property, which could help us. Okay. Don't, to others, my future self. If you get comparison error, okay, this is the expect more short to be called with parameters and return. What if the second argument is the function that I have in our system? Okay. Thank you so much. Okay. I prepare last call with about to have been called with. Okay. So let's see the mock function property dot mock property. Let's see if we can find something. Okay, this is to be returned by second argument. So do you see what the second argument of the first call to the function was second argument? Okay. Okay. So we are saying expect this function dot mock dot calls. Okay. Uh, so you can get the arguments from this calls dot. Okay. The first argument. All right. So you guys may not understand what I'm looking at here. Uh-huh. Now, want to log console log this. Mm, let me print like uh, console dot log mock sorry repository dot find dot mock dot calls 0 0. So let me just put this one to have been called to have been called. So let me see what it will log. This is funny. Okay, where do we have all the logs? The first log is here, and that's the second log. Okay. So it's logging undefined. This is it.
Okay.
Okay. So it's logging undefined. Let me say, if I put it as an object and say arguments args, so that it will show that that is what it is. Okay. And we run it. It's saying the it's saying that
Undefined.
yes, it's saying that the call is undefined. The
Undefined.
parameter, the argument you passed is undefined. Now,
Yeah.
this is what I saw here. This place says if you want to get the first argument you passed in a call, this is how to find it. Call 0, that's for the first call. And you know that we only call this in once. The first time it was once. So if we say call 0, and the second point is to get the argument. If you put call 0 alone, it is going to return that call. It's not going to return the argument. So let me console log this. You see that to actually return an object. Okay, because 0 is returning an object of an array containing the argument you passed in. If we do this in this one, it is going to let's do this in this case. Um, in this time, it's not going to be cos 0. If you do cos 0 again, but you know that this time around, this is not call zero. Call zero is the first call, which is this one. You get it?
Yes.
After we call it again here, this one is going to be called what? 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 What?
Should be one.
Yes, call one.
One.
Because you are doing this thing by index. Call zero
Yes.
is index zero. The first call is the one up. This is another call. You see that this is call one. Call one will return an array of the argument we passed. You can see the difference. Can you see it now? The first one undefined. The second one
Undefined.
has the second one has
The value.
argument.
Arguments.
Yeah. So now that we know this, that we can actually get this thing from there. Now, how do you think we can use this thing to verify that it was called by with nothing?
I think we'll use it in to have been called with. We'll pass it in to have been called with.
No? Okay, I don't get what they're saying. So what they're saying is to have been called with, then we can put undefined, is it? Because it's returning undefined. I believe it should work. Good. So because what is returning is undefined.
Undefined, yes.
We can also say that we can also expect this call, the argument of the call. We can just use the argument of the call and say we expect it to be undefined. We want to say that we're expecting this argument
Okay.
dot to be undefined. Can you see
Okay.
this?
Yes.
If we run
Will be
this and
undefined.
expect this
Okay.
also to fail, yes, it will pass. Yes. So, but both of them are doing the same thing.
Okay.
It was called with undefined, and this is also checking that the argument is undefined. It's the same thing.
Yeah. To be undefined. To have been called with undefined.
So, in any case, you don't want to do this to in a test, yeah, because you are repeating yourself again. But I want to make this
Yes.
as for learning purpose. So you know that if you look at what we are doing, you see that one, you first of all define what you want to test. You want to be sure of what you are testing. You understand me? Uh-huh. If you are sure of what you want to check, then find a way to check it. That is testing for you. Find a way to check it. As simple as that. So, if we go back to our controller, can we say that we have tested it perfectly now?
No,
Can we say that?
We cannot.
they cannot.
Why?
We cannot exhaust all
Uh,
the edge cases now. You said that before.
Yeah, but there is a level of, like, when you say you can actually exhaust all the edge cases, but what we are trying to say is that you don't assume that you have done what the opponent could not do. That is
Yeah.
what we don't assume that. One of the things you should do is always assume that there is something
Missing
wrong
some.
somewhere,
Wrong. Yeah.
somewhere in this code that I can always make better. It's possible that the code is very simple, that there is nothing you can make better, but always don't. I mean, because you are the one that built it and you tested it, there is this tendency to say, yes, it's working fine, everything is. No, go back and really test this as if you are not the one that built it. Uh, if someone built this and gave to you, what are you going to check? Hmm? So you are going to check all these things and be sure that okay, it is actually working the way it should be. Now, this particular um, this particular function, we don't have error handling anywhere. We don't do anything that handle error.
Yes,
Otherwise, there are some things that when there is an error, how to fix it fine. This is very simple.
yeah.
So I think we can say we have done well with this test. We can think about other things we can test, but for unit test, I think this is okay. Now let me say one
That is
thing
for
again
that is
that
for
we
the
might
gates
need to also be
find
aware.
drugs.
Sorry, what did you say?
No, I said that is for only the function, the find drugs.
Yeah, yeah, this is the only one we have tested.
One we have
So
tested, yeah.
we have tested this, we have tested get hello, which is nothing now. You can keep testing get hello as much as, but there's nothing in that hello. Nobody's interested in what it's doing because you're not using. We have tested this. Now, another thing you can do, let me give this as a clue. That is what you call 0, 1, 2 pattern. I mean, of testing. Testing. I don't know whether it's a pattern or rule or whatever. Okay, let's call it a rule. 0, 1, 2 rule. And what that rule says is that any function that returns an array, you should test that. You should test the behavior for when it returns nothing, which is 0. You should also test the behavior for
Yeah.
when it returns only one item. Mhm. And you should also test the behavior for when it returns more than one item. Is that clear?
Okay.
That is
Yes,
zero,
yes,
one, 2. Now 0, 1, 2, that is 2 is more than 1.
yes.
That
More
is
than
1
one.
could be many things.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 can be 3, 4, 5, but that is
It
just
can
the.
be that is two and above.
Yes, yes. So I will give you this assignment. Um, I want you to add a different test session, mhm, to I mean to verify what happens when it returns 0 and when it returns um, more than 1 and when it returns more than 1. All these things you are going to mark it. So, and I will prefer you do it. Okay, don't put it in a different describe. Do it inside this one. So you're going to put um, you're going to have another describe function inside this describe with filters, with filter parameter. Then you have another describe like this. I want to use this 0. Uh-huh. You will do this one. Okay, we can use async. Then we can paste this for it. So we have this described. So what? How is he going to do? It will say get drugs, and it will come to this describe with filter parameters when zero drug is found. Mhm. In this case, this one will be for one drug when one drug is found, is it not? Because we're only getting one drug.
Yes.
So we
Yes,
are going
one
to do
drop.
the one for zero.
Okay. And then for two and above.
Zero and so we are going to do zero. Then this one is multiple when multiple drug is found. Drugs are found. So the first one is for zero. Okay, this is what we are going to do actually. Now we are going to leave this. I'm going to leave this to the empty. I will leave the one of uh, this one to stay, and I will leave this one empty. Now let me tell you one thing you will do. Hmm? Because we said mock return values once here and mock return value once again here. Hmm? This might need to change. I don't know whether you get it. Because this mock return value once and this is not going to suit what we want, except the only thing you will have to do is that you will now have to now check. This is the first call here. This is the second call. It will return zero. So what do you want to return in the second call? Instead of this, it should return an empty array. Is that clear? Instead of this, for the second call, it should be. Then you add another
Yeah.
one more for the third call and for the
Yeah.
fourth call. So because it's going to be four calls. The first one is in this describe, the first describe. The second one is going to be in this describe. The third one is going to be in this, and the fourth one is going to be in this describe. You can do it anyhow you want. You can do the return value inside this place, so anyhow you want it. I don't know whether that makes sense. So you can do it.
Yes. I thought we have only three test cases. That is zero, which is empty, then one and two.
Yes, but and multiple. It may not be two.
Two
So
exactly, but
let me
multiple.
say for this case now, let's say you want to do a filter because you want to do something that is real. Mhm. And you want to get more than one result. Okay. So it's possible. The only thing you may do is that you may come here and change something, or you add extra thing. Because is there anything that we can filter here that will return more than one result? Is there anything we can use to filter here that will return more than one result?
No, I think they are all unique.
Huh?
No, I think they are all unique.
They are all unique. Yes. And the ID must always be unique.
Yes, unique too.
So
We'll have to add more drugs.
you have to add more drug, and maybe in that drug you can the one you're adding may have another. You may have, want to add another
Yeah, but
antibiotic.
yes,
Uh,
yeah.
that is it. Or you may add another drug that has a different quantity, seven. So you filter by quantity.
Mm,
Do you get it? So
yes,
these
yes.
are things you want to check. Or producer that will be the same producer.
The same
All right.
producer, yeah.
Mhm. Okay.
Okay.
At this point, any question before I begin to let us know what we are doing next time? Next time we are moving to this place. So any question so far?
None for now from me.
Mount from
Okay,
my
what
end.
about you? Okay,
No question from me.
okay. Thomas, what about you? Thomas went
Did
to
you
sleep.
call me?
I called you.
I mean, I'm here, but like, I'm listening to things like I'm hearing them late, so I didn't hear your question or what you said.
Oh,
you,
network
you,
issue.
you have to change
It's
from that
network.
network. I think you're using Celtel. I mean Celtec or whatever.
You said,
I think you're using Celtec. Which network are you using?
Isocell.
Okay. Um, I was asking if there's any question, but since you couldn't hear me, I mean you couldn't follow us, I will just save the video and stop it here so that you can go back and watch it and also see the assignment I gave and follow suit and do the assignment. That assignment I gave was one. I think I gave two assignments. One is to complete this place. I'm going to push this in as it were. Complete it. Do it anyhow you want, and push in your own brand, in your own code, in your own copy of iFarm. Then the second assignment I gave you is what? What is the second assignment?
To write a test case for
For
creating a test,
creating, okay.
creating drugs.
Yes. So you can follow the same pattern as you have followed in Find. So in that case, it means you are going to have a different um, described block that is going to be get. Uh-huh. The test cases for get will not be exactly the same thing with create because one, create is not going to return an array. Create is going to take a drug and create it, all those things. So you know what things to test and decide what to test. So do that assignment within the week before next Saturday. Okay. And I hope we are learning something from this. Or are we wasting our time?
Yes, we are
No,
learning very
we
Yeah,
well.
are.
we're learning.